Hello everyone, and welcome to Bold Blind Beauty on Air's newest segment, Connected and Curious with Andy, the podcast where stories shine and understanding grows. I'm your host, Andy Chadwick, and together we're diving into the lives of incredible blind and visually impaired individuals who are changing the world in big and small ways. Here, we ask the questions, share the laughs, explore the challenges, and celebrate the triumphs without judgment, with curiosity and with heart. Whether you're sighted and you want to learn, or blind and you want to be understood, or educate. This is your safe space to listen, learn, laugh, cry sometimes, and connect. Where curiosity is always welcome and no question is off the table. So, let's get connected, let's get curious, and let's jump into today's episode. Welcome everyone. Thank you for listening in to the Connected and Curious with Andy. Today we have Sadie McFarland. She's a talented artist, and we are going to be getting to know her a little bit more with all of the wonderful things that are happening in her life. Thank you for being here, Sadie.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I appreciate that. It's an honor that you're here with us. So thank you and cheers for that. So let's get to know you, Sadie. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? For those that don't know you, what's happening in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. It's so great to be here. My name is Sadie McFarland. I am a 24-year-old hotel front desk agent, as well as a content creator and artist on TikTok. I have optic nerve hypoplasia and I have panhypopituitarism. I can jump into those both later. The optic nerve hypoplasia is obviously a visual condition, and the panhypopituitarism basically means my body does not make any hormones at all. So both of those have their own major sets of challenges that I have to overcome as I do what I do every day. But I'm an artist on TikTok Shop. You guys can find me Beautifully Blind Art by Sadie on TikTok Shop. And then I'm also a content creator and live host under my personal account, which is just Sadie McFarland.
Well, you're busy bee, aren't you?
Very.
Let's talk more about your art journey. So tell us how you first got into art.
I've always loved it. I took art classes in high school and had just an absolutely amazing art teacher that made it accessible, made it approachable, and made it really fun. She was also a woman of God, and we really connected through that and just kind of hit it off. She was probably one of my favorite teachers I've ever had all through my many years of education, from kindergarten up through graduating college. But I've just always really enjoyed, I love taking pictures that just kind of draw people in. And I love being able to, paint. I don't do a lot of realistic work. My art is more whimsical or silhouette based. So I do a lot of faith-based, using the 3 crosses and using things like that. But I do a lot of sunsets, a lot of just things that calming and colorful is kind of my art style.
Oh, I love that. Calming and colorful. So with your art, what tools or techniques help bring your imagination to life?
It's really all God inspired, spirit inspired. I never know what I'm going to paint when I sit down at the canvas, and I just kind of start going, and I kind of just see what comes out. Because it's hard to, when you have something in mind, you're human. You're not always going to live up to that grand vision, you know what I mean? And so my art though is acrylic and watercolor. They come on canvas boards or watercolor paper. So when you order from Beautifully Blind Art by Sadie, everything is ready to hang on the wall. If you choose to frame a watercolor piece, that's your call, but the canvas board is literally ready to hang. So everything is very accessible, and the silhouette art, it's very nice because it stands out. The black will stand out against that colorful backdrop, so that even viewers with lower vision can enjoy it.
That is awesome, Sadie. I love watercolors. So what are some of the biggest challenges you face day to day as a blind artist? And how do you overcome them, if you have any?
Um, my challenges more come on the hotel side of my work. Um, but when it comes to the art, unfortunately, TikTok and TikTok Shop are severely inaccessible. Um, the print is beyond small. And every survey, and I encourage my fellow blind creators and listeners, if TikTok ever sends you a survey, I don't care what part of TikTok it's about, please ask for bigger print across the board, because the print is just so small in
Mhm.
TikTok Shop. Like, I have pieces that I don't have listed on TikTok Shop because my eyes don't have the stamina to go through every single piece manually and do it, because the print is so small and there's no dark mode. And the print is I can hardly even call it black. It almost looks more gray. And try
Um,
reading gray on white. It's really hard, especially with a vision impairment. So for me, it's more of a barrier in terms of getting things listed. But if I post a piece and you do want it and it's not on TikTok Shop, please message me and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Can you post it on TikTok Shop? Or, you know, I do Facebook and Instagram as well. And I started underground, right? I didn't have a TikTok Shop. So I can still
mm,
continue to work off those platforms as well. And I would
that's
just take
awesome.
the listings off TikTok Shop should someone buy, on either of those.
That's awesome. So let's go back a little bit. And can you explain? You mentioned what what you have when it comes to your impairment, but can you explain exactly what it is and what affects you and what you actually see and you cannot see?
Absolutely. So optic nerve hypoplasia is, and I'm going to explain both because they occurred in tandem and they're related to each other.
Okay.
Often when something happens to either the optic nerves or the pituitary gland, the other is impacted. That's the case for me. So my optic nerves did not fully develop as in utero. And with that, also, my pituitary gland doesn't function at all. So with the optic nerves, I have no vision at all in my right eye and only 20/200 in my left.
Mhm.
So I don't have depth perception and I don't have peripheral. So it's not tunnel vision and it's not blurry. It's all clear. I just can't see things from far away. Like if there were a sign, a street sign, like if I'm in a car and someone's driving, right? It's very hard for me to read street signs till we're like a few feet away.
Yeah.
Um, Things like that. It's kind of hard to explain, but no depth perception, no peripheral. The acuity is 20/200 for those that understand eye doctor language. Um,
So for those that don't understand eye doctor language, can you put it into layman terms at all?
well, that's basically what I did. No depth perception, no peripheral, right?
Okay.
Everything is clear, but I can't see like small detail from far away.
Okay. So how do you, on your day to day, for example, your new job at your hotel,
Mhm.
um, how you get receiving support at the hotel, if any, or any guidance there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the hospitality industry is one where accessibility is kind of behind.
Yeah.
I have to use a lot of Control Plus, which is
Hmm.
a keyboard shortcut that enlarges the screen. Unfortunately, though, both the property management system and Microsoft Outlook, when I do Control Plus, the menu bar on the top and the side take up almost the entire screen, so I have nowhere to, or no screen space to
Do
still
anything.
use
Hmm.
the system. And so that's a major challenge. And so I do kind of end up having to strain a little bit. I Control Plus it as big as I can go, and then I have to just, you know, fight through it.
Yeah.
However, I did change my mouse like when I first logged into my computer account. Um, I set it to where I had this real big cursor that's bright purple. So so that even when I'm standing all the way up and not bending to the computer, I can see my mouse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, it's very helpful. And actually, it's really funny because when the first time I showed my assistant general manager, she's like, oh, everyone's going to start doing that now. I'm like, hey, bring it on. I'm happy to help people. But the mouse, the computer mouse is so small and so tiny. So the fact that, we live in an era where I can change that to allow myself to use the computer in a more efficient way is very helpful.
And that's wonderful. And purple's one of my favorite colors.
Mine too.
Love it. I might have to do that on my computer now when I go to work. It's so cool.
It's so
All
helpful.
Right. And it's very helpful. That's very cool. So I want to ask you about your journey with TikTok because it's very interesting. So you've built your community there, right? And you have, I know I had mentioned to you, I'd seen a post that you had wanted to create a space where all of the blind and visually impaired creators get together. I know timing is a question right there, but if you had the time, what would be one of the best thing that you can bring on TikTok that's not out there already, bringing the community together? What would you like to do?
Really, what I want to do is to create a space where people can come and feel safe asking their questions. Because I think part of why things are so inaccessible is because people don't know, and people don't know where to go to ask. And that's the biggest thing. I want everyone to know that my page is a place where you can ask those questions. I recently posted a video in honor of White Cane Awareness Day of me crossing the street. It's a very dangerous crossing. And I had a couple questions. I had some people message me privately, and I had a couple questions in my comments about how I judge when it's safe to cross and things like that. These are all really important questions that people need to know, whether you're sighted or blind or helping, even a caretaker, whatever your role is, right? It doesn't matter what role you are, whether you don't know anyone who's blind or whether you do, or whether you're blind yourself. Education will unlock accessibility because it will empower people to make those changes. So the more we can create that safe space to ask questions for them and to inform them and to make them realize, we're human and we're powerful. We're a part of the community. The more we can invite them into our community so they see what we're capable of, I think the more accessibility barriers are going to get knocked down.
And I agree totally. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to create this space for everybody, because I think and I believe we don't know what we don't know. So it's quite simple as that, right? So if we have a place where we can ask those questions, and it doesn't have to be formulated in a way where it's, and I've had this conversation with some of my mates where I'm like, I don't want to say the incorrect thing, right? Yeah. Or hurt feelings or anything like. So if we have a space where that's out of the wall, just ask your questions and, we can get it answered. So I totally agree with that 100%. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I create this space. So with all of that being said too, what's one thing that you wish sighted people understood better about blindness in the creative space?
When you are designing a new setting, whether that's a cityscape or a website or whatever, put a blindfold on and navigate it. If you can't do it, we can't do it. Make sure you can do it with a blindfold on. Because I'm finding, sites aren't screen reader enabled. And I don't use a screen reader much, right? I do have partial vision. But, a lot of my training when I worked in finance with life insurance, a lot of my training wasn't screen reader enabled.
Yeah.
And, as I said earlier, the property management system as well as Microsoft Outlook, neither of them are Control Plus friendly. The
Yeah.
menu bars on the top and the side just eat the whole screen.
Yeah.
And then I can't use it correctly. And then when it comes to city design, making sure we're putting lights at bus stops and tactile cues. I don't care how old the city is, how old the sidewalk is, you can input those truncated domes. For those who don't know what that is, that's the either red or yellow bumpy texture at the start and end of a ramp. Those were actually designed for blind people. To
Okay.
tell us when we are about to cross, when we're about to step into traffic. But
Yeah.
not having those and not having proper crossing signals, traffic controls, and lights at bus stops is really incredibly dangerous. The bus stop that I take to work, that I have to take, because it's the only bus stop near my job. There
Yeah.
is no proper crossing. There's no there's a crosswalk, but there's no truncated domes, and it's actually a step. There's not even a ramp. And there's no traffic control. So I have to make a judgment. I literally almost got hit last week on my
Oh,
way to
wow.
work from crossing the street because I made a judgment and a car was going probably about 60 miles an hour and they had to slam on the brakes. And they were
Oh,
probably about 5 feet from me. This is what happens when we don't design things with everyone in mind. How am I supposed to
definitely.
know it's safe to cross? And how are they supposed to know that it's my turn to cross if there's no regulation,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
there is the white cane law, which I encourage anyone listening to look it up because it's different in each state. But remember, if someone with a white cane is crossing or preparing to cross, you must halt your vehicle.
Yep.
That's the law.
Yes. Yes. So let me just ask you, especially you're out and about and you're active, you're working, you're doing 100 things at a time. Um, when you, for example, you're crossing the road, how do you prefer individuals to approach you to give you assistance if needed?
So it really depends on the situation. If you can tell, if I'm turning my head kind of rapidly, really, really using. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what blindness kind of causes, your ears become your eyes. So
Yeah.
if I'm turning my head very quickly, left to right, back and forth, most likely I am zoned in, locked in, trying to make a judgment to cross the street. If you
Yeah.
see that, it's probably not the best time to approach me because
Yeah.
my life is on the line. And this is with anyone, right? Different people have different kind of body language that they use
Yeah.
with crossing. For me, I'm kind of turning left to right, really scanning the area with audio. But also, in general, like if I look like I need help, then you can approach. But generally, blind people like we'll look a little confused if we need
Yeah.
help. Just read the body language, right? We can't read your body language, but make sure walk up and say, hi, my name is, can I help you? Do you need help crossing the street? There's just different ways, and I have some great blind talk community members who have done videos on how to best introduce yourself to a blind person out and about. And Christine Martin Law she's a blind attorney, but she did a great job a couple weeks ago with some videos on how to best approach a blind person. So if you need physical examples, I would encourage going to check out her page.
That's great. So you have your community, social media, and you're quite open to have people comment and reach out to
Absolutely.
you. So do you ever get comments from people who doubt your abilities or say, how can you do that if you're blind? How do you handle those comments?
Here's the thing is we get those all the time, and we will always get those all the time because again, people don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
And here's my thing is, I just like to say, watch me,
Yeah.
right? Like, people doubt us so often. It's like, what if I told you you couldn't do something?
So yeah, so you tell everybody, watch me.
Yeah, I
Let
mean,
me show
it's,
you.
yeah, like, people love to doubt disabled people,
Yeah,
but people don't like it when they're doubted, right?
correct.
And I encourage listeners, like, think about that.
So we were speaking, and you happened to mention that you did musical theater,
Yes.
and I have to ask you, um, how involved are you with musical theater now? Are you in? Are you acting, singing, doing any of that stuff? What are we doing on that
I
end?
I would love to one day when the door opens again. I would love to do that. I am not involved now. I did it seventh grade all the way through sophomore year in college. Auditioned a couple times after that while I was still in college, and just it never happened again. I did choir throughout college. I've really been in choirs most of my life. Right now, I'm not, because obviously I'm juggling a million other things. Um,
Yeah.
but I still, I actually do TikTok live where I do worship flags. And for those who aren't familiar with what that is, it's basically they're a lighter version of color guard flags that are used for worship slash praise dance in the Christian church.
Oh wow, you do
Yes.
that too?
Yes.
What? Tell me more, Sadie. Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
that's pretty much the basis of it. I mean, I have several different sets. They come to a set. The poles are collapsible, which is really nice. It makes them very easy to travel with.
Okay.
Um, so you can get them pretty much in any color. But they're a lot of fun, right? It's a really powerful way to worship because, the American church, the modern church, has forgotten one of the core forms of worship in the Bible. David danced before God constantly, in joy, in sadness, in lament. He danced. We have lost that as an American church community. And for me, as someone with a vision impairment, the words on the screen might be hard to see, but I can, if I know a song, obviously I will sing. But
Yeah.
also, that movement is such a powerful connection, both physically and spiritually. And
Yeah.
it's such a powerful, it's honestly therapeutic. Like, it's so powerful. And
I
they're
love that.
affordable. Anyone can get worship flags, guys. They're available on Amazon, TikTok Shop. I actually have some in my TikTok Shop showcase on my personal profile.
Hey, when I hear you speak, and like I said, when I've looked at some of your posts, I can see that you're very joyful. Your heart, I can see, I feel it. Your faith is very important to you. And I acknowledge that, and it's very important to connect to that too. So, how does faith play in your everyday life?
Yeah, so, as a blind Christian, right? We're literally commanded in the Bible to walk by faith and not by sight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of your only option as a blind person, right? Like, I mean, that's just, where else do you turn to?
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize this, but the so the Hebrew name for God is Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, he created us, that when we breathe in and we breathe out, we are breathing his name. We are breathing Yahweh every breath we take.
Yep.
It is interwoven in our very being that we are breathing in and out his name. Literally, he is our air, right? He's the one that gives us air, but he is the reason we are alive. He is the air, very air we breathe is because of him. right? So without that, what are we? He created us. What are we without our creator?
Yep, that's true. I totally agree. And see, with your joy, your faith, um, let me ask you about your art, because we want to establish what you have out there to offer. So, what brings you the most joy when you're making art? Is it the
So
process, the finished piece, or the connection you build with your audience?
it's really a combination, right? An artist creates art because it connects them to their viewers, and it connects hearts and minds. Art is, and this hurts that there's so little room for tactile, you know, innovation when it comes to like watercolor and acrylic. Yes, there's
Mm,
ways to do it, but it's very, very difficult. But it's a conversation. It really is. Art is such a conversation. Not only is it a conversation starter, but it's a conversation without even, people ever exchanging words. And one thing I really love that I've gotten to do, and I hope to continue to do, is, I get, it only happens a few times a year. I'm
yeah.
hoping that this, will open more doors, but, um, I do custom pieces. Yes, they're going to cost more because they're custom, but one, that I got earlier this year that was really, really fun is, I wish I remember the Bible verse, but it was about, it was, she wanted it titled Yes and Amen. And what I came up with was this really beautiful, vibrant, desert toned sunset with a silhouette of a woman kneeling before three crosses. And
Oh,
it, like, it's a conversation either between the artist and the viewer, or sometimes between the viewer and God.
yeah.
You never know what door you're going to open, what part of the heart you're going to touch with art.
I love that. I love that you're bringing joy in your art, and it's evident, and it's evident just speaking with you too. So, how can we support you? What's the best way for people, both sighted and blind, to support you and other blind artists?
Just come hang out. I'm a live host. I'm on TikTok live quite a bit. I'll actually be live after we're finished with this recording. I'll be hopping on live and doing some meal prep and things like that. Um, but just like come get to know us, come educate yourself. And if you see a piece that touches you, or like my through my personal account, I'm a TikTok shop affiliate. So if you guys ever see me cooking and you see a gadget that you want to know about, like, aside from blindness, right? Like, I am all about, like, how can we make life better in general, both for
Yep.
those with visual challenges or with other challenges or without, right? Like, um, a lot of the things I put in my TikTok shop showcase are products that I have found to make cooking either safer, easier, or more efficient. Um, and so just coming, learning about who we are. Obviously check out the art. I hope, come for the conversation, stay for the art. I mean, this thing called life, if we don't support each other, like, you can't do it alone. You just can't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially not in a community where all you see is darkness. Now, mind you, I'm blessed to have my little bit of usable vision, but a
Yeah.
lot of people aren't. And
Yeah.
we just have to be there. Like, don't judge, don't make rude comments, just be there, come enjoy. We're human. We're just like you. We're human. We all bleed red, I like to say, right? Like, beneath all these differences and all that stuff is the same skeleton. So,
Exactly.
just
That.
come and learn, come and hang out, engage with us, you know.
So, with final message of hope. If
Yes,
there's
yes.
one message you want people to take away from your story and your art, what would it be?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. We all have moments where we don't know what to do, where we don't know where to go, right? Don't be afraid to step out, ask the question, whether it's around my faith in God, my art, my journey as a TikTok creator, my blindness, my pituitary disorder, like anything, right? Just don't be afraid to ask the question. I am so much of an open book. Like, I'm not afraid to share the good, the bad, the ugly, right? A lot of, people can be guarded, but here's the thing, guys, it's like, you don't know till you ask. And if if a wall pops up, a wall pops up, right? And then just, rephrase and, on to the next. But for those of us who are open books, like, we want to share, we want to educate people, and we want to make this world better by sharing and by educating.
Sharing is caring.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sadie, for taking the time out and talking to me. I really appreciate you. I know we have TikTok, but again, tell everybody how they can connect to you.
So for the TikTok shop, that is Beautifully Blind Art by Sadie. There's also an Instagram page and Facebook page under that name. To find my personal account, where you'll find more of my stories on blindness, faith, cooking, my everyday, like TikTok lives, all that stuff, that's just going to be under Sadie McFarland, followed by the number 1. And then it's just Sadie McFarland on Facebook and Instagram as well. And I'd love to connect with all of you.
Oh, bless. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you for tuning in to Bold Blind Beauty on the Air's Connected and Curious with Andy. I hope today's conversation left you inspired, educated, and a little more connected than before. Remember, curiosity brings us closer, and every story shines a light. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and keep shining.